Story time on why you should always follow your instincts or your intuition. Before I could give y'all the story time, let me give y'all the breakdown on what an intuition is. Because believe it or not, some people don't have any idea what that is. Of course, y'all know I got to tie etymology into it. So in Hebrew, the word belly means way of thinking. I know y'all heard the saying before, I should have followed my first mind. What most people are referring to is their belly or their gut instinct. Even when you look it up on the internet, it'll tell you we have one brain or we have two brains or we have three brains. Like, they don't even know. One thing's for certain, two things for sure. I definitely believe we have a brain inside of our belly. Think about when you get scared or nervous or you go into fight or flight response. Most of the time you feel that feeling in your belly first. It's called instinct and intuition because you have to go inward for this feeling. You can't get this externally. Okay, so now with all that being said, let me tell y'all what happened. So I went to go pick up my daughter last night from work, and my youngest daughter, Jada, wanted to ride with me. She wanted to go get some snacks. She said she was in her big back season, child. Jada is 13. She's in her independent era. She has her own car, her own account, all of that. So she wants to spend her money. So she said, Mom, I'm going to go in the store by myself so I can go see my sister and go get these snacks. I'm like, all right, cool. That's fine. So I pull into the gas station. I noticed that there's not many open spaces, but I pull into the one that is open. When I pull into that space, I noticed that there is a white van on the right side of my car. So I look over, because I'm always keeping my head on the swivel. Because I have 3 daughters and 2 identical grandsons that I don't play about. I'm always in bodyguard mode when it comes to my babies. I notice a man sitting in the van, but I try not to be like a Karen and be all up in people's business. So I just turn away. But as my daughter's getting out the car, I'm all up in the business because now I need to see what's going on in her area and what's near her. When she get out the car and close the door, I can see him moving around, and he moving a little too much for me because now I see him sitting up and peeking over in my daughter's direction. Because what are you looking for? Damn near broke my neck trying to look at this man because what do you need? And if you live in Georgia, you know this is one of the highest areas for sex trafficking. Not on my damn watch, though, and not with my babies. So then here's when the gut feeling kicks in, because now I'm like, I don't feel right. Something don't feel right about this, because what is he doing? Is he waiting for somebody? Like, what is he doing? Now I want to be all up in his business. I'm not going to lie, now Karen mode has been activated. Now I'm all in your mix. What are you doing? So your gut feeling is just a feeling. It's not going to tell you exactly what to do. It's just going to warn you. So as I park, once I move from the space that was next to him, now I can see that he peeking at me through all the cars. So now we playing peekaboo, because one thing about me, I ain't scared of nothing or nobody. I want you to see that I'm looking at you. As I'm looking at him, I'm grabbing my purse. Y'all know why, ain't even no need to explain. Stay ready, so you ain't got to get ready. You feel me? Now I could tell I'm making him a little nervous because he getting real fidgety. Now mind y'all, Jada been in this store for a little minute. And my middle daughter, Amaya, is also in there because remember, she's working. Within this whole time frame, this is like 10 to 15 minutes that Jada's in this store because she's in there bullshitting around with her sister. But I could see them. I could also see his ass at the corner of my eye. I'm still wondering, like, why you haven't got out the car yet? Why ain't nobody came to your car? What are you doing just sitting in this parking lot? Now at this time, before Jada comes out the store, Amaya's co-worker is sweeping the grounds, which I don't feel like they should have these young kids out here sweeping no grounds at 10, 11 o'clock at night, especially by themselves. She starts to sweep over there where that man is sitting. And this is also near like the dumpsters. So it's not a whole lot of traffic right there in that area. It's still close enough where I could see. She just sweeping, minding her business, not being alert, which I told Amaya, make sure you tell your coworkers and make sure you stay alert at all times. Getting excited or something, because now he done got bold and stepped out his vehicle. I don't know why he did that. Because here come me, stepping out mine. Because what are we doing? What are we doing? And no, I don't know that girl from a can of paint, but I don't have to. Like I told y'all, not on my watch, not with my babies or not with anybody's babies, ever. And I don't know what he was trying to do, but I looked over to him and I told him and I mouthed to him because, see, we was too far away for him to really hear me, but I mouthed to him, I wish you would. Politely got his happy ass right on back in his little van and continues to sit there. Now, by this time, my daughter's coming out the store, both of them. So I'm really watching because try something. At the same time, the police are now pulling into the gas station. So now I'm really watching him to see what he gonna do, because this gonna let me know if he was being suspicious or if I was just being paranoid. But what do you know? My intuition was right, as always. Guess who left out of there damn near on 2 wheels when they saw that officer? You right, his ass. If he wasn't up to no good, Why he leave immediately when he saw that cop? There ain't no telling what he would have did to that young girl if I wasn't standing right there. Before y'all ask, why you didn't tell the cops? I don't fool with them. If you black, you know why. It always turn into the fact that they act like I'm the damn criminal. So no, I'm not playing with nobody's police. The lesson here in all of this is always follow your gut instinct. Always follow your intuition. The little voice in your head is you, the higher you, the one that's guiding you and helping you throughout this life. So make sure you're listening. Make sure you're following the signs that your higher self put out there for you every single day. One of those signs is that gut feeling or that intuition. Make sure y'all let me know in the comments if you have any of your own stories about intuition. And remember, if you want to book a consultation with me, go ahead and click the link in my bio and click consultation. If you're looking for spiritual resources, be sure to check out my showcase that has books that will help you on your journey. Peace, love, and light, and gratitude for watching.
So this is 2 stories wrapped into one about listening to that when your hairs on your back of your neck stand up, when your gut instinct is screeching to you that something is wrong. I remember watching an Oprah Winfrey years ago, and it was all these victims of crimes that said that when they looked back, there was a moment where they were like, this doesn't feel right, this doesn't feel right. The hairs on the back of their neck stood up, so to speak. And for whatever reason, they didn't get out of it, or they poo-pooed them. So when I was a senior in college, I was going to be a student teacher and I needed a car. So I was driving my parents' car to my university so that I could go back and forth to school. And my parents were really nervous about it. And they were like, I wore a baseball cap on my drive down to my school so that it looked like I was a boy. And they were like, we really want you to stop so you don't get too tired. And my only requirement for a hotel as I was driving down was I was not looking for a Four Seasons. I literally was looking for a hotel motel that did not have a door that entered into the parking lot. So I see like a Best Western or something. I pull off. I'm like, perfect. I pay for my room. I'm waiting for the guy directing me to my elevator. Instead, he's like, yep, right around back, ma'am. And I'm like, my door enters into the parking lot. So I'm like, okay, it'll be fine. I'm getting my things gathered in my car, and I had this very weird feeling, hairs on the back of my neck standing up. I'm like, I'm being watched or something's off. And so I abruptly kind of get up from what I was doing, and I look, and I catch eye with this guy that's standing by his big truck, and he's staring at me, and he's shocked when I catch eye with him because I was doing something else. And he starts to pretend like he's doing something. And even at the ripe old age of 21, 22, I was like, he's pretending to do something. He wasn't doing anything but staring at me. And so I felt very uncomfortable. So I was like, okay, I'm going to just pretend like everything's fine, and I'm going to get my things, and I'm going to wait for him to go his way so he doesn't see what room I'm going into. And that will be safer. And so I'm doing that, and I'm waiting, and eventually I lose sight of it. And I'm like, but that's weird because I didn't hear a door close, and the only reason you would be back here is to go into your own hotel room, and I would hear a door close, and I didn't hear that. So I was like, this is so weird. So I was like, 2 can play at that game. So I decide I'm going to get my things. I'm going to close my door to my car really loudly to make it sound like, yes, I'm done and I'm going to my hotel room, but I'm not going to. I'm going to survey the area. And so I close the door really loud to my car, and I sit. I don't start walking. And like 3 seconds later, the guy pokes out from behind a pillar and pokes out to see what my movement is. And he's literally hiding behind a column. But I hadn't moved. So we catch eye, and instinctively he goes, and he hides back where he was hiding. And I tell you, when the hairs on the back of my neck were so strong, I was like, oh my God, what do I do? So I went back to the front. Of course, I'm 21, 22. I'm thinking, I already paid for the hotel. My dad's like, get the hell out of there. I actually got a refund because I told the guy I made a mistake, and I left. Turns out years later, my dad and I were talking about this, and he's like, I don't think I ever told you. He said, when your mom and I were first married, I was a traveling salesman, and I used to stay in hotels a lot. And he goes, I was in a hotel one night, and I was getting ready for bed, and this guy knocked on my door and says, hello, sir, we have your ice. And my dad didn't answer the door. And he says, no, I didn't order any ice. And the guy says, oh, no, it's complimentary from the front desk. And my dad, the hair started to stand on his neck, and he goes, no, I'm good, thanks. And it's ice, what's the big deal? And my dad's like, I just felt uncomfortable. And I said, no, I'm good, I don't need it. And the guy says, well, listen, I'm already here, it's no trouble, just open up, just give you your ice. And he pushed it like 3 or 4 times. Finally, my dad was like, scram, get out of here, I don't want your ice. The next morning, my father woke up and he found out that there was a slew of armed robberies in these hotels he was at, and they were robbing people, scamming their ways in, saying that they worked at the hotel. So listen to that gut instinct. I have no doubt that I saved myself from something awful. I'm not a dramatic person, and I just know. So listen to that. Those hairs on your neck, listen, they're there for a reason.
Y'all, please pay attention to your surroundings and trust your intuition. Yesterday, I was on my way to the store to make a return, and I got to the stoplight and I noticed this car pull up next to me, and his window was rolled all the way down. And my windows are tinted, so I didn't think much of it, but I can tell that he's looking over at my car. So I'm like, okay, whatever. The light turns green, we both pull forward, and I pull behind him because I need to turn into the parking lot. We get stopped by another stoplight, and at this point, I'm behind his car, and I can see him looking at his side mirror the entire red light. Like, he just keeps looking in his side mirror. And at this point, I was starting to feel a little bit weird because, yes, my windows are tinted, but when the sun is out, you can still see into my car. So I was like, is he looking at me? The light turns green, we both pull forward. I turn on my signal to turn into the parking lot. He turns on his signal to turn into the parking lot. So then he pulls into the parking lot, I pull into the parking lot. He goes one way, I go another way. So I was like, okay, that was just weird. Like, let me go on about my business. Now there are several stores in this plaza, so I find the store that I need to go to and I park my car, and something just tells me, don't get out the car. Like, don't do it. So I'm just sitting in my car and I wait a couple minutes and I see him pull in front of my car. And I'm like, okay, he slows down a little bit and then he just keeps going. And at this point, I'm starting to feel like really alerted. Like, this is really odd, right? So I wait in my car for another minute or so, and then I see him circle my vehicle again for the second time. And at this point, I'm taking pictures. And in the pictures, you can literally see him looking at my vehicle the entire time he's passing my car. So I wait in my car for another 5 minutes or so, and I don't see him, so I just shake it off and I go into the store. As I'm walking into the store, I look back and I see him literally sitting in his car in the same row, like where my car is parked, and he's just like a couple spaces down. And there are plenty of parking spaces available, so he's just sitting there. So I go into the store and I make my return, and I spend like a good 15-20 minutes just like walking around, just trying to calm myself down. So I leave the store and I'm looking around the parking lot and I don't see his car anymore. So I'm like, okay, phew, like that was weird. As soon as I get near my car, I look over and I see that he's parked in a spot and he's watching me walk to my car. He sees that I see him and he looks at me and he goes like this and starts smiling. So I get in my car and I call my mom, I call my best friend. I'm just trying to figure out what to do because at this point, like, I know he's watching me. So I sit in my car for like 10 minutes and I finally get a hold of my best friend, and this entire time he's still watching me. So I pull off and drive to my nearest police station. So I filed an incident report, and thank God I got pictures of his vehicle, his license, and him. So the moral of the story is to pay attention to your surroundings and trust your intuition, because if something doesn't feel right, most likely it's not.
I was in Florida this past weekend and had something happen to me. And girls, ladies, this is your reminder. Always listen to your gut, your intuition, whatever you want to call it. Listen to it, even if that means you might come across as impolite, rude. Listen to it. I've been traveling alone for work back and forth to New York, LA. I've gone to China for the last decade of my life. I have taken hundreds of Ubers alone, and I have never had like a gut feeling not to get in a car before until the morning I was leaving Florida. I was leaving my hotel around 5 a.m. I requested my Uber. It was a very normal looking car. And honestly, like thinking back on it, the man who picked me up, also a very normal looking man, nothing out of the ordinary. So I'm sitting in the hotel lobby waiting for my driver to pull up. I'm tracking him on my app, and I see that his Tesla is now arriving. So I walk out there with my suitcase, not thinking anything of it. I am not afraid to get in this man's car for him to drive me an hour to the Orlando airport. I am just ready to get home to my kids. At this point, I just see the car pull up. I haven't seen the man inside. So he gets out, walks around, and I'm on like the passenger backside. He walks around, rounds the corner by the trunk, and I make eye contact with him. The second I made eye contact with him, I feel like my heart and my stomach literally fell out of my body onto the floor. That's the best way I can describe it. Again, a very normal looking man, like nothing out of the ordinary. But for whatever reason, something in my gut, it was like when I made eye contact with him, my intuition, something was telling me something was not right. He grabs my suitcase from me and puts it in the trunk. I'm standing there and I feel like my heart is left on the floor. Like it literally just went like this. I get in the car and close the door, and the second I close that door, I am regretting that decision. I'm like, why did I do this? This is not a good situation. He starts pulling away from the hotel and he asked me where I was from. I answered him, but my voice, I didn't recognize it. I think my body went into like fight or flight mode. Okay, go to part 2. Sorry, I ran out of time. He asked me where I'm from, and I answered him, but again, like, I didn't even recognize my voice. Like, the tone, the inflection was so different. I think my body was in fight or flight. My voice was like really deep and very serious. At that point, 1,000 thoughts ran through my mind. I see the freeway entrance and I'm thinking, once we're on the freeway, there's like no going back. I'm stuck in this car for at least an hour and completely at this man's mercy. And as these thoughts, scenarios are running through my mind, I'm trying to talk myself out of it. I'm being over dramatic, it's fine. But it was like something was screaming at me, get out of this car. I could not shake it or deny that I just felt in my soul I needed to get out of this situation. This mental battle I'm having, I swear it felt like a lifetime, but it was like a split second. I see the freeway entrance and out of nowhere, I just blurt out in a very stern, direct voice, I left something at the hotel. I need to turn around now and go get it. There was no, sir, I left something at the hotel. Can you please turn around? I was just very direct. We weren't even a half mile from the hotel. So he turned around and we were at a red light waiting to turn left. And as soon as we made that left-hand turn, we would be in front of the hotel again. And I was just like praying, turn green, turn green, turn green. I was sick. He pulls up to the hotel. It's a Tesla. I didn't know how to open the door. I was like I'm like, get me out of this car. Finally get out of the car. I grab my bag. I speed walk it inside the hotel. I am so flustered. And I think the woman at the receptionist could tell something was wrong. And this is so not like me. But I walk up to her and I'm like, my suitcase is in an Uber. Nothing happened. I just felt very uncomfortable. My gut was telling me I need to get out of the situation. I'm sorry, go to part 3. So the woman on security goes out to the Uber, gets my suitcase. I don't even know what she said to him. Brings my bag over and I'm just like kind of trying to calm down a little bit because I was so worked up. I mean, I'm an anxiety girly. Like, I have anxiety. I definitely have been in Ubers before where my intrusive thoughts will come in and I'll be like, oh, what if I never make it to my destination? But I was telling her, like, I had never had such an overwhelming, soul screaming feeling that something was off. And anyway, they were so sweet. They were like, you did the right thing. Good for you for saying something. And we're so glad that you came and talked to us, whatever. They were just so sweet. They made me feel like I was not a crazy person. So the woman who was working security, she's like, I've worked security for years. I read body language. Let's re-request you an Uber so you don't miss your flight. And I'll walk out there with you and you let me know if you feel comfortable. And I was so grateful for that because the second I saw that man, the first Uber, I did not want to get in that car. I didn't feel safe in that situation. But my thought was, I've requested this Uber. It's 5 a.m. He's here to pick me up. I'm overreacting. I just need to get in this car. I can't miss my flight. My common sense was trying to talk me out of this feeling, like my intuition. Or if you're religious, the spirit basically screaming at me that I needed to get out of this situation. So my new Uber pulls up and the woman who's security walks out with me. And the second he rounds the corner, I look at him and I just felt at peace. I didn't feel stressed. I didn't feel anxiety. I didn't feel like I was in a dangerous situation. I looked at her and she was like, you're good. And I'm like, yeah, I'm good. It's so interesting, like what a stark difference my inner self felt between the two situations. And maybe he was completely normal and nothing would have happened, who knows? Girls, it's okay to speak out if something doesn't feel right, to not be polite, and frankly, sometimes be rude. All of this to say, girls, listen to your gut, your intuition, the spirit, whatever you want to call it. You're not crazy. Stay safe.
Story time.
How these green pumps saved my life and my job. And when your gut is telling you something, listen, baby, listen. I like to look at it as God is speaking to me, and I know he's never going to steer me wrong, but check out the story time. Okay, so boom. I was getting Eden dressed for an Oscars event. We had tons of events this week. 2 weeks ago in LA, it was Oscars. Crazy, 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 which is why you really haven't heard from me either. And this was what we were intending on wearing to this particular luncheon. I love the Barbie doll pink moment, just pretty in pink. She's gorgeous, so it worked. However, there was an issue. If you could see, this is her hairstylist trying to take care of something with her leg. Like she nicked herself shaving, something very simple, except for when it was time to get dressed, it just would not stop bleeding, which is crazy because she said she shaved herself at like 6 in the morning. So there was no reason we should have had this issue at like 1 p.m. So we had to jump ship to this look. The reason why these green shoes saved my life is because I had no intention on bringing them. We already settled on the pink look, and any other alternative that we were going to go with did not require a pair of green shoes. But as I was packing my bag to go and get her dressed for this event, something kept saying, get the green shoes. I didn't know why at the time, but I listened because it just would not leave my mind, get the green shoes. So I did. Not only that, when I got to my car, something said, do you have your shoe inserts? I always have that in my styling kit in case a pair of shoes are a bit too big. But again, there was no reason for me to need this because we had already tried the look on and the shoes that she was wearing fit perfectly for the look we had established. But this feeling would not leave my mind to make sure I had my inserts. So I went all the way back up to my apartment to get the inserts, even though logically there was no reason to need them. Well, as it turns out, we absolutely needed these green shoes. They were a little bit too big, so I needed the inserts or her foot would have been flopping out the back. Oh, and the best part, the event she was attending was very casual, where this jumpsuit was more suited, and she said she would have felt and looked out of place with the pink look. Don't get me wrong, this pink look was everything. However, we have to listen to the signs that come to us. We get multiple signs in our lives throughout the day, throughout the weeks, but the key is you have to be present enough to hear them and then aware enough to listen to them, because the universe is always working for us and never against.